Hey guys, welcome back to the Hands On channel, and welcome to all of our new subscribers. We put up a video not too long ago, and we've gotten quite a few subscribers and a lot more comments than we normally get on our videos, so I'm really happy about that. I love reading you guys' comments, the good ones and the bad ones, so please feel free to comment on any of these videos. Anyways, I was going through some of my older documents here that I had started writing. I have to take you back in time a little bit. At that time, Barack Obama, Hussein himself, was the president of the United States. And many people on my side of the aisle were very scared and very upset, much like probably many of the people that are opposed to President Trump are on the other side of the aisle today. So, and I've actually spoken to a few of them, and they actually don't believe me. They're like, "Oh no, there's no way you were as scared as we are of Trump." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we were actually terrified of Obama because we had proof, and we had several different instances where President Obama violated the Constitution. And I had went through the worst 4th of July I'd ever been through under President Obama. My business was suffering. And it was because of the rules that he had dictated down through the system. And because of that, my business was suffering. So anyways, all that being said, I wanted to read this thing to you guys because I believe it's more relevant now than perhaps ever. And of course, we've got Donald Trump in there now, but oftentimes I think the president gets blamed for things that really are out of his control or beyond his control or outside of the realm of, what is basically allowed under the Constitution. So, and one other thing, just to keep things light, one of my commenters on one of my videos here recently said, "Is he bald? Because I always wear a hat." And the answer is no. I'm just a hat guy because I'm old school like that. But here, let me prove it once and for all. I do shave my head, but I am not bald. So there you go, guys. Put that to rest right now. I watch Wrangler Star, and a lot of people ask him if he's wearing a toupee and stuff like that. So I keep mine nice and short, clean cut. That way I can cut my own hair. I don't have to rely on others. I can do it with a set of shears and have my wife do it or whatever, or do it myself. I'm pretty decent at doing it. You can do it with a mirror and stuff. So anyways, guys, just to put that to rest, and I don't want any conspiracies starting up here on the channel, but let's get into this. I called this a republic if you can keep it. And that is a famous quote from Ben Franklin. So let's get right into this. A Mrs. Powell of Philadelphia asked Ben Franklin, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" With no hesitation whatsoever, Franklin responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." So even way back then, when our founding fathers were still alive, they knew that there was a big danger of, it's like anything. You've got this grand idea, we called it liberty, and here it is, it's a big pie. And slowly you've got people picking away little pieces of that pie over time. And maybe you don't notice it because it's slow and it's through incrementalism, much as I talked about earlier. The boiling frog analogy. That's a great one to explain this situation. But anyways, let's get on with this, what I actually wrote here. The depravity of human nature is nothing new. Combine that with corporatism, the insatiable lust for money and power, and you get what we have today. Technocratic authoritarianism. Authoritarians believe that all power comes from the government and their experts. The nanny state knows what's best for you, and you're expected to quietly conform to their will. You didn't build that. The government enabled you to build that. And if you don't remember, Barack Obama famously said, "You didn't build that. Blah, blah, blah. The government helped you build that. We built the roads." Well, anyways, that is not what the founders believed in. Okay, so let's see. You didn't build that. The government enabled you to build it. Without our government sugar daddies, what would we do? Perish from the earth? I think not. I argued that this authoritarian government is intentionally stifling our independence and our ingenuity. By implementing these long-term tactics, they have incrementally overthrown the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. The people have been conditioned to accept this tyrannical form of big brother, big government without question. Because if you question the mainstream narrative, you will be labeled a conspiracy nut or a tinfoil hat guy or whatever. You're just not even allowed to ask questions, or else you're like, oh, some Fruit Loop or something. And that's not the spirit of America. So next up, we've got societal complacency and creature comforts have given our masters all the leeway they could have ever dreamed of. We, the people, have fallen victim to easy living, instant gratification, and electronic gadgetry. Go ahead, put your smartphone down, get off the couch, and do something to stand up for the Constitution. You will be labeled a conspiracy theorist and/or an extremist. And of course, that's doublespeak for patriot. Then you will be put on a list in some NSA supercomputer database. Scared yet? Most of your brain-dead friends will not understand why you are so passionate about your liberty. You will be ostracized from the group. They will say you can't stop it. And most people can't handle that kind of rejection from their peers. With all of these distractions and creature comforts that even the poorest among us partake, very few are willing to take any action. If they were to speak out against their masters, they could lose all of these modern-day trappings. Why would you ever want to leave the safety of your cell? After all, we the people have the nicest prison cells in the history of the world. Yes, I'm saying we are in our prison cells, on our cell phones, sitting on our asses, and we are all unaware the doors are slowly closing in on us. Once that door is completely shut on freedom and liberty, it is only then we will realize that we are slaves. The door has been moving ever since the communists infiltrated our system with the help of the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans. Now they openly embrace communist, socialist ideologies in the open air. They think they don't even need to hide it now. And I don't know about you, but that makes me pretty darn nervous if they think they can do it out in the open air and it's clearly against the founding principles. So, collectivism of any form consists of two main groups, the haves and the have-nots. Affluent people naturally will be more free and privileged than the working class servants. The law will be openly broken by our masters without consequence. If a slave does not obey the most minor laws, severe consequences will surely follow. Sound familiar? Many people are above the law now. There's the Hollywood elite, the star athletes, the Clintons, Bush 1, Bush 2, Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, and Sanders, just to name a few. Many politicians are using classified information to buy stocks and bonds before it's released to the public. For the rest of us, that would be called insider trading and usually leads to stiff fines and/or incarceration. For the politicians, it's just another day at the office lining their pockets. They even passed a law allowing this insider trading to happen legally. You and I would be thrown into prison for doing a fraction of what the elites in power get away with. The Clintons have multiple dead bodies linked to them, and no one seems to be able to stop them. Insert wicked Hillary laugh. Can it be stopped? I have my doubts, mainly due to the lackadaisical attitude of most people, young and old. So many of our citizens appear to have this go along to get along attitude. Or perhaps you prefer when in Rome, do as the Romans do. This is the antithesis of our founding fathers, and thank God for that. Do you remember what happened to the Roman Empire? You see, when a nation's citizenry abandons morality and embraces hedonism in the name of going along to get along, the nation as a whole suffers immensely. Ultimately, they will be invaded and/or conquered by other nations. So, who is responsible for America's demise? Maybe you could blame the media, as they are supposed to be our watchdog, the free press. But instead, they have sold us out to fear and sensationalism and sound bites. Perhaps it was the Department of Education, with their one-sided Marxist point of view and intentional whitewashing of U.S. history. Maybe it was the television. After all, the shows on TV these days teach a completely contrary moral to the shows like Andy Griffith and Leave It to Beaver. You could blame the internet or smartphones with the never-ending lure of false reality. However, in reality, you only need to look in a mirror, and I do too. It's all of us. We, the people, have allowed this communist, socialist overthrow to transpire. What's even worse, we didn't even know or care that it was happening. Regrettably, future generations will pay the highest price of all, the end of freedom and liberty. That means slavery. Our children will most likely live in bondage if we allow this to continue. Hell, as fast as things are changing now, it might even happen sooner rather than later. You better wake up now, Americans. Our time is running out. I don't want my child to be a slave, so I'll stand and fight for liberty. If they label me and take my trappings, it will have been worth it. The things that you own do not make the man or woman. When I perish from this earth, I will die knowing that I did everything in my power to enlighten people to the corrupt nature of our government. I will not conform and just say, oh, that's someone else's problem. That doesn't affect me. My family will not lick the boots of the elite masters or worship their false gods. We have a 244-year history of freedom and liberty because of the sacrifices of brave men and women who have refused to conform to the will of a king. Now those great men and women have been labeled extremists and racist by our government officials. Are you brave enough to join them, or will you continue to allow the erosion of our liberty? It will be a laborious task, but I am certain of one thing. There are still many liberty-loving patriots among us. We have just been silent for far too long. It's past time we remind the ruling class, elitists, what our role in government is. Stand up now, or condemn your children and grandchildren to a brutal life of slavery. And I'm going to end the video with a quote here. If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen. Samuel Adams. Long live the Constitution, guys. It's in trouble. It needs your help. It needs my help. It needs everybody's help. Call your congressmen. Call your representatives. Let them know how you feel about these different laws and these different rules that are coming down the pipe, like 5G and all this other stuff that they're doing to tighten up the grip on America. We have to stop this now, or else all of our kids will pay the price for this. So I appreciate you tuning in and sticking with the video. Again, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Let me know what you think. We'll add to it, keep the conversation going. And until then, guys, we'll see you next time.